Hi everyone, my name is Ahmed Khan. I'm the Vice President at EB-5 AN. I've been in the industry for about 12 years now, first as an attorney on the investor side and some project structuring, and then ultimately jumped over to the dark side and raising capital for the last few years. Super excited to talk about some of the ways that the RIA has changed the way that the regional center is approaching investments and investor communications. So yeah, thanks for being here. And man, the bar is so close, we can almost smell it, right? It's coming. Obviously, the loan model. I think we're seeing a theme here, right? In EB-5, there's not always just a direct right answer. There's just the answer that's better for the investor that you're speaking with at that time. And the loan model has a lot of benefits. It's obviously first to be repaid in a capital stack. It usually comes with some level of collateralization. You can, depending on where you sit in the stack, you can have kind of different spreads and things like that. So there's a lot of positives for the loan, and I think a lot of investors do gravitate towards that because, let's face it, a lot of EB-5 investors don't do investing on real estate in their everyday lives. So they feel more comfortable getting some kind of collateral for their money and having some kind of comfort that they're going to get their money back or some kind of mechanism that they can get their money back with. But occasionally you will get an investor who has a little bit larger of a risk appetite, and they might be more familiar with equity style investments, and they might find that they want a higher return. I wouldn't want to say gamble, but they want to take a little bit of a higher risk and get a higher reward in return for that. So I do think that there is a market for that. We have equity deals and loan deals at EB-5AN, and I think what we've learned over the last year is having a portfolio of different projects that each achieve a different priority will appeal to different investors. And so you'll have investors that just want the rote, super easy deal that they can understand very, very quickly and are looking for safety and maybe a little bit of priority processing. But then you'll get investors who are like gravitating towards bigger cities, larger developers. They want, big equity, or they want a large return. And so one of the ways to achieve that is do an equity investment, whether it's preferred. And in some cases, we've even seen common equity in EB-5. So yeah, depending on the investor that you're speaking with, either one could be the right answer. I think there's pros and cons, right? Smaller deals are also less inventory to then go out and sell EB-5. And if you're doing a lot of small deals, you're just creating a lot of work for yourself and doing a lot more 956 Fs. And man, they're not cheap anymore. So there's a problem of scale, and logistically speaking, it does, if you want to do it at volume, having a bigger deal that you can go out and raise for several months has its advantages as well. But I think, more to your point, and that is something that I firmly, agree with, is the best projects are the ones that don't need EB-5 money. They're going to be built with or without this EB-5 capital, and what we're basically doing with the EB-5 funding is essentially making the developer a little bit richer, right? We're lowering the cost of capital that they're going to have for that project. But yeah, ultimately, I think that's the first thing that we look at is, okay, can this project succeed even if we go out and we find zero investors? We overpromise and we supremely underdeliver. Is this project still going to be built? And if the answer is yes, then that's a really compelling deal in and of itself, and now we can convert it into an EB-5 deal. I think the other thing that we really try to pay attention to is the value of the collateral and making sure that we're being very, very, especially in a loan style deal, we're being very, very cognizant of where these assumptions are coming from, right? We're not overpricing and using, we're not gouging land prices and just kind of assuming that, it's going to be worth so much more in the future. We're using third-party appraisals to understand the value of something and making sure that we're not just making those numbers up ourselves, or the developer isn't just giving us those numbers. So it's really important, because as a regional center, we have a lot of responsibility. We're playing with a lot of people's money, and we have to do it in a way that is going to be safe for them and gets them their money back and gets their green card in the process. And yeah, just being very true to yourself and not lying to yourself and the investors is the only way you're going to achieve that. So look, I think, we spend a lot of time in this industry, I think, educating investors. I think, we do seminars, we travel the world, and what we're trying to do is teach our prospective investors a little bit more about investing into EB-5 projects. And as they get more and more educated, well, guess what? They're also getting more and more sophisticated, and they have more and more demands as they come to us. The word of mouth, and especially I think this year has been kind of a really watershed year in that sense, because we've had such an increase of investors who are inside the U.S., right? And they're in close proximity to these deals, and so they have a lot of questions. I think what we're seeing at EB-5 is a lot of data-driven decisions. They want to see numbers. They want to dig into the numbers and see how that affects them. They want to get constant updates on the deals, and that becomes part of their initial decision. Even though that's something that's going to happen after they've already invested and chosen your regional center, part of that choice comes with the company that they're investing in showing them regular updates on the project so that they're not approaching you and basically saying, hey, haven't heard from you in like 6 months. Where's the deal at? Do I have to go there myself to see what's going on? They want to see those updates. And so I think what we have done, and I think a lot of other RCs are starting to do as well, is you're going to have technology kind of help you out. You're going to have data that's provided on a regular basis, and you can do that instead of sending out, snail mail or emails every day, every few months. You can have a platform that investors can log into, and whether it's a camera on site that shows the construction progress, or it's a update on the job creation numbers after expenditures, or it's number of approvals that you've received from USCIS. All those numbers make a big difference, and I think that's what investors are looking for, that transparency. So you said the RA cleaned up the industry, and I think what it really did was it took 30 years of best practices that the industry learned collectively and codified them, right? So it created kind of guidelines on what RCs should be doing, and I think it's been really great to see a lot of RCs adopt those rules, embrace them. A lot of them were already doing most of these things, and now we're just providing more and more transparency to these investors so that when they make this decision, they feel really good about it. Yeah, I'm going to echo Manuel here with, I really like what you said about just setting expectations correctly, because I think, people get caught up in the sale sometimes in EB-5, but I think it's very important to just put all the facts in front of the investor, then let them make a decision. And if you're doing well with your projects and you're putting together good projects, you should have confidence that they will choose your projects.
Work with groups.